President Biden has named his nominee to lead ICE, given some mixed news for asylum seekers at the border, and the Democrats are looking for a legal path for millions of immigrants. These are the topics for this week's video. My name is Andres Mejer. I came to the US as a child with my family and lived here for a long time without legal status. We paid an immigration attorney to help us in the 80s, but in the end, they just took our money and did absolutely nothing. Eventually, I got a green card through President Ronald Reagan's amnesty program, and I almost lost it because I wasn't well informed. I love helping my clients achieve their legal status and helping them understand the immigration system so they can continue their American dream. That's why I create these videos, and that's why I do what I do. Let's kick off our video with President Biden's nominee to lead ICE, Ed Gonzalez. He's currently the sheriff of Harris County, Texas, and if everything goes as planned, he could be the first Senate-approved nominee to lead ICE in almost 5 years. His nomination and possible confirmation present an opportunity to build a new start to an agency responsible for some of the worst abuses in the past 4 years. One thing you may be thinking is that since he's Biden's nominee in his views on immigration, but during his hearing, and despite all the controversies of previous years, Gonzalez signaled a few major changes and supported the agency and some of its most controversial policies. During his hearing, the enforcement priorities took up much of the conversation, and little attention was given to the major problems ICE has been involved in recent years. So let's go on some of didn't make any open critique of ICE. Instead, he actually reaffirmed the rule of law belief and was more on the Republican side of the debate, agreeing that ICE should deport individuals who have committed a crime or been ordered removed. However, the question always is, what is the relevant crime and was the order of removal appropriate? But that's not an issue that was discussed. He was questioned about ICE detention by Senator Jackie Rosen and about ICE's practice of contracting private prison companies for detention, which has led to major scandals such as unwanted hysterectomies and a detention center employee fired for white supremacist beliefs. He replied that he believed the health and safety of our facilities is paramount, but didn't express any proposals or urgency to address the issue. Another issue to note during his hearing arose when Senator Scott, Republican of Florida, asked how he would define success at ICE. I actually like that question. In his response, Gonzalez said that he would like to see a strategic agency that prioritizes enforcement and engages with the community. Doesn't really tell me anything. His answer suggests that he wants to see ICE become bigger and more efficient at deportations, while also becoming slightly more humane as a side effect. To close this subject, what we can take from this is that Gonzalez's confirmation hearing suggests that even though a big change is needed at ICE, he seems to want more of the same, and this could be a huge missed opportunity to set a new path for immigration enforcement in the United States. However, it is difficult to read anything from his hearing since his comments could really mean anything. The fact that he wants the agency to work better, that he wants to be more efficient, doesn't really mean he's pro-deportation or against deportation. The agent's mission is to deport, and he wants it to do it better. Who should be deported is the question, and that is not really a subject for Ed Gonzalez. Now, our next topic for today deals with a legal path Senate Democrats are planning that would help millions of undocumented immigrants. What they are planning is that under a broad economic package intended to pass this year, they will include a way that would grant legal status for as many as 8 million undocumented immigrants. They are creating a fiscal blueprint that would set up the process to craft a targeted immigration overhaul bill with a $120 billion federal budgetary impact. Those funds might entail making improvements on U.S. ports of entry, clearing out a backlog of visa applications, or other changes according to a Senate Democratic aide familiar with the plan. Of the 8 million immigrants that could benefit from this economic package, 3 million would be dreamers, migrant workers, and some temporary protective status holders. The other 5 million would probably be essential workers, but we really don't know what an essential worker is. It is yet to be defined. Up to this date, President Biden has proposed a pathway to citizenship for 11 million people living illegally in the country, such as 2 bills passed back in March that would provide legal status for farm workers and dreamers. But earlier this year, Nancy Pelosi tried for a more conservative approach to gain support from Democrats in conservative-leaning states. The broad economic package being drafted will need 50 votes to pass the Senate, and as you may imagine, it's unlikely to have any GOP support. This package will also look to update policies in areas such as climate change, the tax code, Medicare, child and elder care, and others. All in all, this seems like it could bring a good path to legal status for millions of immigrants. But the Democrats would need to unite behind it to see if it comes to life. This brings us to our last topic of the day, and it comes with what you could say is a mixed message from the Biden administration regarding asylum and protection requests at the border. On the positive side, they intend to speed up asylum petitions at the border, but at the same time, they want to resume fast-track deportation proceedings for migrant families. So let's first deal with the bad news, and those are that they intend to swiftly remove migrant families that immigration officials determined did not qualify for asylum after an initial screening at the southern border. This process, also known as expedited removal, basically consists of a fast-track screening process to determine if they have a credible fear of persecution. Basically, what that means is if everything they say is true, would the law protect them? Could they make a case for asylum, and are they believable? And if the official determines they don't, well, immigration authorities will remove them without a hearing before an immigration judge. A few weeks ago, during a visit to Guatemala, Vice President Kamala Harris said to immigrants to don't come. And now President Biden has reiterated that they shouldn't come during a CNN town hall. In a statement released by the Department of Homeland Security, they mentioned that attempting to cross into the U.S. between ports of entry is the wrong way, and that besides that, it is dangerous. It could also carry long-term immigration consequences for those who attempt them. All these actions come after arrests of immigrant families at the border have skyrocketed during the past weeks, with cities such as Rio Grande Valley reporting more than 20,000 arrests in the span of a week. Now, talking about the good news, if we could call them that. The document the administration presented with all this information mentioned some key points. First, they talk about creating a fair, orderly, and humane migratory system that would allow the U.S. to have a more secured and well-managed border that treats people with justice and humanity. With that in mind, the document points out that they are working on improving the fast-track screening process to separate people with legitimate cases and allow them to keep their path for protection and asylum. The problem with that is that both the Obama and Trump administration had already tried similar approaches, fielding criticism from immigrant advocates and lawyers who argued the process risked rushing asylum cases and undermining due process. What this administration is arguing with these new actions that now families will have an early and ample access to legal representation, and judges will not be subject to strict time constraints. We'll just have to wait and see how much of that is true. This brings us to the end of this video. As you have probably noticed, the immigration system is constantly changing. What works today can be modified tomorrow and then changed again the day after that. That's why it's important to be up to date with the news and everything that happens in immigration and immigration policy. And that's also why I do these videos, because I firmly believe that an educated client is the best client. If you learn from this or other videos, please subscribe to our page and share the videos with family and friends. As always, stay healthy and be well.